Going on YouTube, Cloverbells here back with another Scarlet Violet video, and today we're going to be spotlighting Kommo-O for the upcoming regulationH format. So in the previous video we talked a little bit about Sinistcha, and we hinted at the end that you can definitely use Sinistcha with something like a Kommo-O, and that is true. And we're going to show you a couple of squads that you can develop, in trying to use Kommo-O, because there's a couple of ways where you can approach it, and each one is a little bit different than the other team. So what I do want to say is that Kommo is in a pretty decent spot right now, and there's a couple of sets that you can consider in trying to use it. But the whole idea is you're really capitalizing off of this fighting typing as well as the fighting covers that it gives you, right? So just to name a few Pokemon that Kommo does really well against, you can consider Incineroar or Arcaludon for that matter, and even something like King Gambit. The Kommo does really well into these three, first of all, and then you can also consider something like Porygon, and then even something like the Ursalunas, where Kommo looks really good there because, again, they are normal types at the end of the day, and you have that super effective fighting coverage into them. That being said, it all depends if you go for the fighting coverage. I have seen some people, opt for the Flash Cannon tech along with the Terra Steel typing, and that's good. That's okay. At least this way you have something to click into something like Primarina, for example. But I just think Aura Sphere has a little bit more value in the grand scheme of things, just because of it covers a little bit more in terms of like the popular meta threads. All right, but in terms of what you can do here, so you can either do the Clangorous Scales Clangorous Soul set, right, where you're sacrificing your HP and you're just boosting your stats, and then you have Protect down here, and then something like this with Aura Sphere. Now that being said, I do think, again, like we mentioned, you can go the Flash Cannon tech. I think it's still solid. You can also consider Flamethrower, right? Because again, this way you can click something into, Gholdengo, for example, right? So I do think Flamethrower is another useful tech option you can click here. This is also pretty good into like Rillabooms, Amoonguses, and some other grass types or some other grass terras that people want to go for. So I do think there's some merit behind Flamethrower as well. So this last move here is up to you, but if you want to go the Scales Soul set, I do think Protect is necessary along with the Throat Spray set, right? And then in terms of like an EV set, so there's a couple ways that you can approach it as well. You can definitely go a Timid set, or you can even do like a Modest set, right? So if you do Timid, I do think at the very least at +1 you want to outspeed something like a Dragapult. So at the very least, calc for that. So Dragapult, of course, hits 213. So you want to do 214 divided by 1.5, for the +1 accountability. And that means you're going to need to hit a speed tier of 143. So you can simply hit that, okay? And that's pretty cool in terms of outspeeding Dragapult after +1. And then after that, you can just max your special attack like this and just put 1 point in the bulk and dump the rest into HP like this. So this would be like a Timid Kommo set. Otherwise, you can definitely go something like Modest and just, you can keep it like this. If anything, outspeed Pelipper at the very least so you don't get Hurricane to death. And then, you can go Modest 236 and dump the rest into HP into something like this, right? And I think this is also definitely viable here. So up to you whether you want to do like Modest or Timid Kommo. It also depends if you also have, Tailwind on your team from something like a Talonflame. That also matters. So, but at the very least, you have the option for the Timid or Modest set. The other thing you can do with Kommo is you can do like the Iron Defense Body Press set along with Protect, and then this last move of choice is up to you. It could be, it could be physical, it could be special. It depends on how you want to play the Kommo, but at the very least, with the Iron Defense Body Press set, you can definitely do something like Bold or Impish. Whatever defensive nature you can come up with, I think it works out. And then you can do right here 204 HP, to optimize for your leftovers. And the whole idea is that you're alternating Protect and leftovers, getting recovery, and then constantly setting up with Iron Defense. So this way you could win a 1v1 in the end game just by walling out that physical attacker here. So same idea, you can just do something like this where you're just going for all this defense, and then at the same time, dump the rest here into, special defense, and then just wall it out like this, right? And then here's your coverage of Flamethrower or Flash Cannon, whatever it is you want to do, Draco Meter if anything. But you can definitely do a physical attacker if you need to. You just have to change the nature there, just making sure that you get the bonus into defense, right? So you could definitely do something like this. Now in terms of the ability, Overcoat is really good because again gives you that Amoongus immunity, and at the same time you can play this with Tyranitar, and you can definitely play Kommo-O Sand. I like Kommo-O Sand, you know, for a lot of reasons. Again, with Tyranitar looking really good in this format, you're taking away weather control from Pelipper and Torkoals, and then at the same time, you know, you're not taking chip damage because of Overcoat, and then, like we mentioned, the Amoongus immunity. So you could definitely do some teams with Tyranitar Kommo. We'll show you some teams like that, but at the very least, you can also consider Soundproof, so immune to sound-based moves. Again, think about Hyper Voice from a Sylveon, right? That's going to hurt a lot because you're 4 times weak to that. So consider that. Also, even like Hyper Voice Pre-Marina, although that is a water move, you do get to resist that at the end of the day. You can also consider Bulletproof. All 3 of these abilities are actually really good. You know, again, Bulletproof. Imagine Shadow Ball from Gholdengo. That's also a thing. So, you know, if this was like Terra Steel, for example, and Gholdengo was clicking Shadow Ball, now you kind of just wall out the Gholdengo because Make It Rain doesn't do that much damage into you anyway, right? So, well, and then also you have the fighting type coverage at the end of the day. So, you know, just a couple things you can consider in terms of how you want to play the Kommo, but at the very least, we've shown you a couple sets. So in terms of teams, we'll go into Lab Mouse. We'll show you what people have done so far in terms of success with Kommo, and then we'll build a couple squads with it. So this way you too can also test out a Kommo team. All right, so let's look at the Lab Mouse website here, and let's look at some potential cores that you can consider with Kommo here. And we'll look at some of the successful teams thus far. Again, it's pretty early format, so all of this will change eventually. But at the very least, we can consider some of this to get started. So this one right here, 10-2 result from skill check from the Hemi-Turnitor, second place. Kommo balance idea here. Again, here's that body press flamethrower iron defense idea that we talked about here. It's Overcoat, again, giving you Amoongus immunity. And then after that, it's Volcarona, you know, with Pre-Marina. So we're going for Fire, Water, Grass core here. This is Parasong Life for Pre-Marina. And this is the way to consider it. You know, imagine if this had Throat Spray, then you have to go, you know, Life for Pre-Marina if you want to do some damage. So you can definitely do something like this, if anything. Then again, King Gambit, Rillaboom, Volcarona. Again, all kinds of balance ideas for different matchups. And then we have a Palmot over here. I'm not quite sure why we have a Palmot here. But I guess, you know, if you want to go Perish, and then one of your Pokemon faints, you can bring it back to life with Palmot. I guess that's one way to consider it. But other than that, okay, you know, this works, you know, in terms of what we want the Kommo to do. So that's pretty cool. How about this one from Lubistar? So here's the Sinistcha idea. There's Pre-Marina Life Orb yet again. You know, again, you have to do that because you have the Throat Spray here, but you can't put that on the Pre-Marina with Hyper Voice. So let's consider making the Pre-Marina aggressive with that Life Orb, and this way you don't have to be so passive with setup here. But Sinistcha gives you some healing here. There's that Flamethrower tech again that we talked about. Terrafire, of course, resisting fairy damage, and again, neutralizing the flying weakness. But Instant Sinistcha or Instant Gothitelle Trick Room stuff into Ursaluna sounds pretty cool. And then from there, you know, just going for Fire, Water, Grass stuff with Instant Sinistcha Premier. I like this a lot. This is another way to approach it if you want to consider that. This one over here from Lorenzo, okay? Again, same tournament as the first player. Again, the inaugural Pre-Worlds Showdown there, 450 plus player tournament. Again, this one's a little more balanced too with the Electabuzz. So here's Instant, Palafin, Rillaboom. Again, the trio, the good stuff trio. Then you have Gholdengo here. It's soundproof with Aura Sphere like we talked about. There's the Electabuzz here. So, you know, again, you don't have Overcoat, so you need some immunity to Amoongus, and now you have it here with these 3 options. So this is also another way to consider it. This one is Side Spam Kommo. This one's a weird one. All right, we have Immunity Armor, which I kind of get that. This is Body Press Iron Defense, and then we have Shadow Claw here. Okay, that's interesting. Here's the Haze User in Gengar. Okay, I don't know about this one, but hey, it works. Let's look at some other ones with like Tyranitar and also some Sand, and maybe even some Talonflame teams here. I can kind of see that over here. So let's look at this one here. I like this one. Del Tani, right? Yeah, so look at this. We have the Double Dragon idea here, but here's Talonflame, Gholdengo, Glamora. Again, that patented trio. Then you have Throat Spray Kommo, Rillaboom with the Fake Out Pressure, and then here's the Hydreigon. Again, you know, dark coverage for a Side Spam matchup. I like this. This is pretty cool. That's another way you can consider that. Bleacher over here, again with the Sinistcha idea. Here's the Citrus Berry Pre-Marina, right, instead of Life Orb. So that's also cool. Maybe a bulkier set with Haze. Rillaboom here. And here's Smeargle clicking Decorate. Okay, so sometimes, you know, maybe you can just click Decorate and then the Kommo can just go ham from there. That also works out too. And then how about this one with Sand? Okay, so Kommo Sand here. And with Gyarados Goggles, I like that. That's kind of what we did as well. You know, if you look at our images in the video, you can see we have Gyarados there with Volcarona, Amoongus, Excadrill, right? And it turns out that Gyarados is, of course, a Goggles set. I've given out that team to a few people, and well, I guess we can recreate it here in this video just to showcase it. But again, what's interesting here is the Bulletproof rather than the Overcoat. So I'm not so sure about that one, but again, Bulletproof is still a good ability, all things considered. But for me, my preference is to play, if you're going to play with Sand, I think Overcoat is a little bit better. How about this one from Snow here? Again, Talonflame, Gholdengo, Primarina, that Patent Core, this is a Zoroark here. All right, we're playing some shenanigans. So I don't know about King Gambit and Gholdengo on the same team. I've seen it done before, so I think it's still fine. But at the end of the day, you know, there's some variance in how you want to play the squads here. This one's another Kommo Sand here, but this one's with Size Spam from Squish VGC. Let's take a look at this one. Okay, so again, Life Orb Primarina, but no Throat Spray. So you might as well just, I mean, if you're going to do this, you might as well just put the Throat Spray here. So, okay, still works out. But again, Indeedee, Armrouge with Rillaboom. Okay, dual terrain still is a good, it's an okay idea. You know, I tend to tell people not necessarily not to do it, but just be aware of it, right? You know, you're just overriding your terrain. Sometimes it's okay, right? Because you have the leftovers double recovery here. So it's still not too bad, but I would, you know, restructure that squad a little bit. But overall, I do also want to point out this team down here because we will build something like this for the video. This looks like the team that Wolfe Glick had, but instead we have a Toxtricity here. Why we have this Toxtricity here, I'm not quite sure. But again, Throat Spray, Snorlax, Clefairy, Sinistcha, Instant. Yeah, that's the way I would do it, right? Instead of the Landorus, you can probably put Incineroar here. We kind of hinted at this in the Sinistcha video. And then you can have a filler slot here. And I have an idea what you can put here instead of the Toxtricity. So we can show you that as well. So we'll build you a couple squads here just in terms of how we want to approach the Kommo. All right, but we've gotten the data, we've gotten ideas. So let's go back here into Showdown and let's build a couple Kommo teams. Okay, let's go with the Clangorous Scales, Clangorous Soul set, and let's go with the Sand variant. You know, it's just the way I like to play it right now. We'll show you one with Excadrill and one without Excadrill, okay? So, you've already seen the one with Excadrill a little bit. You see it in some of my latest videos, of course, with the sprites. So, we'll build that in a second, but let's show you a different way of approaching this. I think we'll still go Tyranitar, no Excadrill this time. Instead, we'll go with that patented Talonflame, Gholdengo, Primarina core, okay? And I'll tell you why we do this. Because look at this. You got a Dragon type, you got a Fairy type, you got a Steel type, you got a Fire type, you got a Water type. So all you need is Grass type. Then you'll have your Fantasy core, and then you'll have your Fire, Water, Grass core. And then T-Chart is the filler slot at the end of the day. So here you have a few choices. You can do Amoongus. So that's fine. Again, it helps set you up, whether it be like Nasty Plot here or the Clangorous Scale set here, or you can just go for the Sinistcha idea and, you know, get some good recovery and then also have access to Trick Room along with the Tailwind stuff, right? So I think this is the way you can build one type of Kommo team here. So after this, what kind of set do you want here in terms of the coverage? You have Steel coverage already in Gholdengo, so let's go Aura Sphere. I think this is still fine, but I will still keep Terra Steel available here because, again, it's just good resistance to a lot of Kommo's weaknesses overall. Tyranitar, more or less the same Tyranitar set that we've had in our other video. I'm going to keep it the same. I'm going to still keep this the Assault Vest Terra Flying set with Rock Slide. A knockoff is so huge for Tyranitar this time around, whereas back in Regulation 8, it did not have that. So I do like that. And then Terra Blast, of course, with Terra Flying, and then Low Kick at the end of the day for good, solid physical coverage into heavy things there. Talonflame, again, Gale Wings is also pretty good. Covert Cloak, you know, just so that you can ensure your Tailwind a little bit better. Tailwind, Brave Bird, some support moves in Taunt and Will-O-Wisp. I think this is one good way to really use Talonflame because look at this. You have the Assault Vest T-Char, then you can just do like Will-O-Wisp, Talonflame there, and now all of a sudden you've got special damage mitigation. Now you also have physical damage mitigation. T-Char can can stay on the field for days, right? As can Kommo here, as long as you can, get off those key attacks there. All right, Gholdengo, I think you can just go specs here, go for violence, and then the Pre-Marina will be the Life Orb set, okay, because we've got the Throat Spray on the combo. So again, I'm just going by what the data is telling me, right? We're making data-informed decisions here. So Gholdengo specs, we can go Make It Rain, Shadow Ball, what's that thing called? Thunderbolt, good coverage there, and then Dazzling Gleam. Also good solid spread move ideas there. So again, if you don't want to go specs, you can definitely do Life Orb here and then Citrus Berry there. I think that's still okay if you want to do that. But, we've already got one setup on here. I don't want to have too much setup. So I'd rather have like immediate offense and pressure. That's why I put the Life Orb here. But if you want that on Gholdengo, that's still like totally fine. Okay. Pre-Marina here. Again, Liquid Voice here. Making sure I have the right ability. And then, of course, Hyper Voice, Moonblast, Haze, and then Protect over here, right? And then Terra Grass, of course, is always solid on Pre-Marina. Rillaboom is running around like crazy. And then the Sinistcha set. So what I will show you here is I'll just do a copy paste of our Sinistcha from our previous video. I think it works relatively well here. Again, we have this damage calc. So, you can watch the previous video if you want to know what I was calculating for with this. But this is a, our sassy 0 speed nature Sinistcha meant to do well in Trick Room and at the same time, just keep our allies alive here, with something like Life Dew and on switch in, also really solid. Rage Powder, redirection support, try and set up the Kommo that way. And then, of course, the Matcha Gotcha. Again, key burns is always really nice. So again, you've got the burns, with Willows and also Matcha Gotcha chance. So I think that's also pretty solid. But this is it. This is our open team sheet. So Kommo Sand, no Excadrill needed. I can show you that because, again, the team is already in the sprites below. But this is how I would approach it. Now, just in terms of the rest of the EVs, again, Tyranitar almost max HP here. So let's go right about here, 244. I will go to the bump, the second bump here. So here's T-Tar. Again, Adamant 44 is the first EV bump there. Then the next one, another 80 EVs right here, 124. This is the next bump. And again, if you're trying to get better at competitive Pokemon in terms of creating EV spreads, I say this in every video, make sure you comment below asking what are EV bumps, because again, it's a very fundamental skill to understand in terms of creating spreads. I always ask this in every video. There's always a few people asking what are EV bumps. If you ask, I will reply to you. So comment below what are EV bumps and I will tell you. So this way you too can create EV spreads like we do on the channel. Okay. Then I'll just put the special defense here, just right here. 12 investment. Why? I want that solid even number because of the Assault Vest along with the Sand. Tyranitar very specially bulky, doesn't need any special defense. I'd rather just invest that, into physical defense. But I do want to achieve a certain speed tier here, and I'm going to dump the rest here in speed. Okay, this is a somewhat of a fast T-Tar, but again, just having some speed is good. 194 investment, that's going to be faster than Meowscarada at the very least. If you want to outspeed a Talonflame, again, you're going to need a little bit more. But again, I will show you that here. Jolly, 195 here. So you're just a little bit short, but that's okay. If you want to put like a little bit more, you can definitely do that. But, I don't think Tyranitar is going to be scared of a Talonflame, right? So after that, just speaking of Talonflame, same thing. I'm just going to do more or less the same thing here. Just 1 point in all the bulk stats here. Just needs to be super fast at what it needs to do. A little bit of damage with the Brave Bird. But again, just the Taunt and Willow stuff. If anything, you can also take away this and put in an HP. But, I'd rather have the Talonflame do some damage with Priority Brave Bird, right? With the Gale Wings. Here we go. T-Tar here. We've already done Terra Flying. This is this one we can also do like Terra Flying as well. One big nuke sometimes is all it takes. All right, then the Gholdengo. Believe it or not, this is a Specs Gholdengo. We'll go Timid, max speed. I think this is okay. If you want to do some damage calcs here, you can definitely do that. But, anytime I have Specs here with Talonflame, I just want Violence Gholdengo. I just want to go max speed and then just also max special attack here. I don't need to focus on bulk per se. This is almost like an HO's kind of squad. I just need to come out, go Terra, Steel, do big damage with Make It Rain, and then from there, it's okay. If you want to go Modest here, you can definitely do Modest 252, but I think Timid is perfectly acceptable. All right, Pre-Marina here. So the damage calc here that I always like to do is Surviving Rillaboom. So that you know, we can still achieve that, but I do want to still optimize for the Life Orb chip. So I will go 188. And after that, 92 defense. This is what lets me achieve that damage calc against the Rillaboom here. Okay, that's not where it is. Actually, I can just show you that over here. So let's go Primarina. And then at the same time, we'll also put Rillaboom here. Let's go blank set so this way you can see how I do it. Okay, you have to do this eventually, right? So let's go Adamant 252. Okay, no light screen there. Let's go Adamant, and then let's go Grassy Glide here. Again, it's all about the priority, right? So Grassy Glide, and then after that, where is the, not Overgrowth, but where's the Grassy Terrain? There it is. So you see how this one-shots me? This is why you don't want to just do 252 special attack and 252 speed, okay? Because then you just get one shot by a Rillaboom, right? And then you could also consider 252 HP, but that's still not, I still want a little bit more out of this, right? So this is where I have to consider my defense investments. All right, so let's go 188 there. Not bad, but now how much defense do I need? Let's take a look. Okay, I'm gonna bump this up, and again, should be about 92 just to give me that nice, solid, favorable roll there. Yeah, there it is. So 92 defense, again, lets me survive Adamant 252, Sulfest, Rillaboom, and Grassy Terrain. So I'll keep it there. Then after that, we'll go 108. Second bump there in terms of our modest nature. And then I will go about this much. So you could do this. This will outspeed Dondozo under Tailwind. But I think you can easily just go to 90 here. And then under Tailwind, you get to outspeed a Mousehold. So that's cool too. And then the rest just goes into special defense. Leftover EVs, of course. See, our Primarina is a little bit more optimal now. And then Sinistcha, of course, we did in the previous video. Meant to survive, you know, Blood Moon stuff. Okay. So this is it. So this is something that's pretty easy that we built, you know, based on data, information, and cores, right? I still focused on my fantasy core with Dragon, Fairy, Steel typing, Fire, Water, Grass. And then at the end of the day, I still have Tyranitar giving me weather control. I have some speed advantage, you know, with Tailwind. I also have Trick Room available to me. I have status, right? I can go for burns, which is kind of cool. And then I also have setup here with the Kommo-O. So, you know, lots of good things coming here. You know, from our squad, and we also have Taunt, which can be useful. Haze is nice for Gholdengo. It's also good for Dondozo in terms of hazing away all those debuffs. So you can also consider that. But at the end of the day, you know, the Sinistcha gives me redirection support as well, along with healing capabilities and the same time Trick Room here. So I kind of like this team, right? Let me know what you think of this. But let's showcase it and let's do a couple battles, and then I'll show you some other Kommo-O builds. Alright, this guy is as standard of an Arcaludon Pelipper team as it gets. This is where Tyranitar is really going to have some good value. And he's got Instant and King Gambit. This is actually a very good starting solid team for regulationH. We built this team before. But the difference here is we've got Kommo-O, Sand. And again, fighting coverage is good into a lot of his options here. Three of them, Instant, Arcaludon, and King Gambit are all weak to fighting coverage. And as long as you can control the weather, Kommo-O can kind of set up and go crazy here. Sinistcha also looks good, but I also like to do Primarina stuff with stuff like this, you know, again, because again, he's bringing out the rain, and Primarina looks also decently solid into some of his Pokemon here. So I'm going to go Kommo-O and Primarina with T-Tar in the back, along with Sinistcha here. So here's Incineroar and Pelipper. This is fine. So he has to make a choice. Are you going to take damage from Life Orb Primarina, or are you going to let my Kommo-O set up here? And he chooses the Primarina. So that's unfortunate for him, but we go Clangorous Soul here. He sets up with Tailwind anyway. That's fine. So this is basically free setup. I didn't even need to Terra, but I did it just in case he went for the greedy Hurricane. All right. So there's the Hurricane anyway. That's fine. All right. We just one-shot that instant. Goodbye. There's the Aura Sphere, and here's the Hyper Voice. I could have probably just clicked Moonblast there and just get that down to Sash, but again, it's still fine. Arcaludon now comes out. Let's take away that weather now in case he wants to go for that Electro Shot. He goes Terra Grass here, whiffs the Hurricane because we have the Sand. Electro Shot, no attack there, so we get some good value here, and then we just remove the Pelipper. So now we have permanent weather control for the rest of the game, okay? And now all I have to do is just stall out his Tailwind, and I'm in a good spot. So I'm just going to pivot out to Sinistcha here. I'm going to, you know, heal my Kommo-O back. I'm going to protect just in case he wants to, you know, click the Electro Shot there. Sucker Punch came out. But again, Sinistcha, you know, resisting all of this, you know, from the Arcaludon there. So we're in a really good spot. You know, again, that T-Char switching was huge for us. we just Rage Powder, we stop any Sucker Punches, we just remove the King Gambit. Again, really weak to fighting. Body Press comes out, we live anyway because, you know, he doesn't have enough defense to really capitalize off of that, and he just simply forfeits. You saw the value of T-Tar Weather, and then Sinistcha coming out and healing. Kommo-O's setup here, doing the job. We didn't lose any of our options. Even Life Orb Premium was also really solid here. Another Arcaludon Pelipper team, but this one is worse. Okay, he still has the Amoongus Ensign, but then he's got Gastrodon and he's got the Corviknight there. So, you know, not bad Pokemon, but I don't know if we need Corviknight here along with Pelipper at the same time. I think that's a little bit of waste. It's also pretty passive. There's also a Gastrodon here. We don't need Gastrodon on an Arcaludon raid team, in my opinion. But anyway, I'm gonna bring the same forward. Like, again, like T-Tar taking away the weather is gonna be important. And then Arcaludon also looks pretty good. Same with Primarina. So I see no reason that I have to do anything different here. So are you gonna lead the Pelipper or not? There's the Arcaludon, there's the Amoongus. Okay, that's a good lead. But again, I kind of want to see what he wants to do, so I'm just going to protect here. He also protects Arcaludon, so no Assault Vest there. So that's news. That means Kommo can kind of go ham if I set up, and he tries for Spore, but little does he know that I am Overcoat. So I just go Clangorous Scales. I want to see what he does here. I could have also Terra Grassed the Primarina, but I didn't want to do that just yet. He does take out my Kommo-O, and, you know, he went for Spore. He went the greedy route. So then that means he loses the Arcaludon. So I'm trading you Arcaludon for Kommo-O, and that's fine because that was your main offense. Everything else you have is pretty passive. Like Pelipper, Amoongus, that does nothing to T-Tar, and we override his weather anyway. He goes Gastrodon. The main priority is just to remove this Amoongus. I couldn't care less about what Gastrodon does here, or even the Pelipper. So T-Tar, Terra Flying, goes crazy. Primarina still asleep, doesn't really matter. Okay, all I have to do now is just repivot and command the weather at the end game, heal my Primarina. There's the Tailwind. I don't think that does anything. You know, the Gastrodon clicking Icy Wind on their Tailwind, what is that supposed to do, right? So, you know, again, free Moonblast, get that thing down to Sash. Life Orb Primarina goes crazy here. I can easily switch in T-Tar now, and the Pelipper dies to the sand and just chip the Gastrodon here. I do make a mistake in targeting here because I didn't target the Gastrodon, but, you know, I'm ahead so much that even that one mistake by me, you know, doesn't really get punished because he has, you know, some passive mons here. So, of course, again, the optimal play is just to hit the Gastrodon. But after this, you know, again, just bring back the Sinistcha, get my Primarina back to full. You know, he's not really clicking anything meaningful here. You know, I would have liked to see maybe like Earth Power or something, but even Yawn would have been nice. But again, he's just losing out to all this chip damage. All right, and then he sees the writing on the wall, and then he just clicks Forfeit, right? So, again, we just played two Arcaludon teams. Tyranitar looks really good. Kommo-O's setup also looks really good. Sinistcha, again, good value. You know, it just all depends on how you want to position and play against certain matchups. But we have all the tools that we need, so, you know, use it. Okay, we'll keep the Sandcore going here. Again, Tyranitar, you know, with Sinistcha, Kommo here. We'll just keep those three the same. I'll show you a different way that you can also play this, and this will be the graphic that you see on my stream here. So I was thinking, look, let's get Intimidate here with a flying type here. Gyarados makes a lot of sense. Let's put Excadrill, of course, Tyranitar, Excadrill. The Sand Boys are back in business. This used to be Amoongus here. Either way, I still think it works. And then we'll have the Volcarona, of course. Volcarona really good this format overall. Just the fact that you can set up with Quiver Dance, and you have a lot of healing here. Well, by a lot, I mean coming from the Sinistcha. But overall, Volcarona with Intimidate along with healing can just sweep, you know, after kicking at 1 or 2 Quiver Dances. So, again, lots of control here. But from here, what do we want to do? So for Excadrill, we'll keep the same kind of Excadrill set that we ran in our Sand video. So we're going to run Clear Amulet so we don't get intimidated. I'm going to go High Horsepower here instead of Earthquake. Just because, you know, we don't have too many... well, we do have Terraflying T-Tar and we do have Gyarados here. So you can technically still do the Earthquake stuff. But I went a different direction with the Excadrill this time around. Let's just go Iron Head and Rock Slide along with Protect. Then the Gyarados here, you know, Safety Goggles, not bothered by the sand. Again, we saw this in the Lab Mouse website in terms of preview. Waterfall, Thunder Wave, of course, you know, Speed Control, then Helping Hand and Terra Blast. Now, I'll tell you what I was doing. I was going offensive Gyarados here. a little bit along with the support stuff, I was going Adamant 116. Okay, so this way the Gyarados can be a little bit more aggressive. And then the Volcarona here was just leftovers, you know, with the Terra Dragon here. I went Terra Dragon. And then at the same time, I also went Heat Wave, I went Giga Drain, I went Quiver Dance, and I went Protect here, right? Flame Body, of course, for the occasional burn chance. So, you know, just in terms of an EV set here, Excadrill, I went Adamant Nature here, and then I went 164 investments. Why? Because this is good enough to outspeed Pelipper, the timid Pelipers, you know, without anything, right? So, all things considered, I think that's a good speed tier to pick, and just make your Excadrill super bulky. Well, not super bulky, but bulky enough. Let's go to 208. Again, this is for the Rillaboom Grassy Terrain Optimal Recovery. Then we'll go Adamant 116 again to the next bump. These 48 EVs, these are just leftovers, so I just, you know, tried to split them up evenly and just dump them into defense and special defense. I didn't have any calc for it. You know, it's just like leftovers at that point. The Gyarados here, like we said, it was Adamant 116, and then I basically almost went full HP. The speed that I picked was 60 investment, 109. So this way, after Thunder Wave, I can outspeed Dragapult. I only needed 107 for that, but again, I just wanted to do a little speed creeping and just went to 109. And then from here, again, same thing. I didn't have any like specific calcs here. I just, you know, split up my bulk into remaining stuff. Now, again, you can also just do something like this, where you can just leave your special defense and invest a little bit more in your defense like this. And that's still like totally fine. And you know what? I will leave it like that. I think that this is still like okay. Volcarona, again, modest. I did go modest Volk. I went 156 investment. This is for Gholdengo, max speed, modest nature, right? And then just go to the first bump here, 36, max HP here. Works out for leftovers because we're hitting 192. That's the optimal number for a factor of 16. 1 point in special defense, and then just dump the rest here into defense like this, right? And this is pretty good because, again, we have Intimidate on the team. So this way, Volcarona is getting physical damage reduction, and then we still get special damage reduction with the Quiver Dance here, right? So this is it. The Gyarados here, I went Terra Flying, of course, for a little bit more aggressive Terra Blast, like I said. It's good against grass types like Rillaboom and Amoongus. Steel Kommo, still good. Terra Water Sinistcha, also okay. The Excadrill, I also went Grass. Again, getting around Amoongus is important, and T-Tar still Terra Flying as it is. So this is the team that you see on my graphic. But again, I was also using Amoongus, so Amoongus also works out. And I'll put that version with Amoongus in the paste, you know, once I wrap up the video here. Okay, so this person has a pretty good solid career. I like the Talonflame Glamora stuff, especially with Sylveon and the Meowscarada. Even Dragonite looks pretty good here. The one question that I'm looking at is the Empoleon, but I understand where he's going. He's going for the Dragon Fairy, Steel, Fire, Water, Grass Core. But I just don't know about Empoleon in this current format. But again, there's a lot of Intimidate stuff, so maybe it has some decent value. But other than that, look, I like Sand stuff here. And at the end of the day, we have the right tools here. So it's just all about positioning here. I'm going to go Kommo first, along with Tyranitar. Set the Sand, just in case there's some potential sashes here, like, you know, Sash Meowscarada or Sash Talonflame here. I wanted to just set it and break it immediately. Brave Bird went into the Kommo. That's okay. And then I'm just going to go Clangorous Soul here. Set up right in front of the Empoleon, which is good because that's a special attacker. You know, we're going to get a nice boost there and resist, but Tyranitar is much faster than the Empoleon. We just removed the Talonflame immediately, which is good. So no Sash there. That means it might be on the Meowscarada. We take that Hydro Pump like it was nothing. Here comes Sylveon here. Now, that's fine. I just want to get the Sinistcha back. And there's the Terra Grass, so he's forced to commit the Terra there. Because I went for Aura Sphere. It's still decent chip. That looks like a 2-hit KO almost. And we lift the Hydro Pump. I'm very fortunate there, but, you know, my bulk is good. And then now what I can do is just protect first, okay? And it just goes for another Hyper Voice, which is still okay. At the end of the day, I just wanted to go straight for Matcha Gotcha. See if I can get some chip damage here and just recover it right back. And we're fortunate enough to at least get a burn on the Sylveon to, you know, let it take a little bit more chip. But that's okay. Again, Kommo's still looking pretty good here. I'm just going to go into Excadrill first. All right, I'm going to protect now, so this way I can pressure the Sylveon next turn. And this way the Empoleon can just pretty much die here, right? Because I can't really remove the Sylveon with the Kommo, so I'm going to use the Excadrill now. All right, so now from here, he's forced to protect Sylveon. That's exactly what I wanted. So now there's no attack coming from the Sylveon because it had pressure from the Excadrill, which means the Empoleon is just mine for the taking, right? And now the sand is gone. That's okay. And now he goes into Dragonite. Very easy here. Just recover a little bit more with the Sinistcha. Just nuke the Dragonite. Clanging Scales. There's no Terra, so, you know, the Dragonite can't really do anything about it. E-Speed was never picking up from that range. Another Hyper Voice. We live. Again, thank you, Sinistcha, for all that healing. But again, I have all this setup here that I need, and he has no choice but to forfeit. He can't break me at this point. We kept all of our Pokemon, and again, it's just all about creating pressure where the Sylveon was forced to protect, leaving the Empoleon wide open, which means after I take the Empoleon, the Sylveon can't KO me right back because he wanted to protect it. Another weird Sun. There's just a lot of people playing like some of these Sun variants, right? And that's fine, but I don't really lose that much to Charizard. But anyway, Sand looks really good here, right? Tyranitar Sand looks amazing. And then at the same time, look how many weaknesses he's got to like Gyarados Terra Flying. You know, that Lilligant, the Whimsicott, the Rillaboom, you know, all susceptible to Gyarados. You know, especially Tyranitar clicking rock moves here. So this looks pretty good. And again, even Volcarona, you could even merit. Looks okay here. So Kommo Gyarados here. Let's get Intimidate down first. Let's see if he leads Rillaboom. And again, if you wanted the Lilligant, I had the safety goggles, so he can't sleep my Gyarados or my Kommo regardless. That's why I led those two. I want to change the weather. He goes into Rillaboom now. That's fine. So no more Sun for him. He misses Gyarados, and guess what? That means Adamant 116 Gyarados clicking Waterfall absolutely removes the Zard from play, and that's good for me. Okay, so now Sandchip is taking over. If he wants to reset it now with Torkoal, he can. He does, but again, I'm not really under a huge threat here. I'm just going to go into Kommo first, and now Torkoal goes Terra Fire. A Fake Out comes out. That's still fine. I chip the Torkoal a little bit, and then he just goes for Heat Wave. Misses Gyarados again, but again, Kommo is just eating this because we resist. And now I can go on the offensive here. I can go into Tyranitar, take away the weather from Torkoal, and just remove the Rillaboom here with the Terra Flying. Wood Hammer does a lot, but we eat it fine. Again, we're still like in the green. We removed the Rillaboom, which is good. Another Heat Wave. Gyarados now takes it. You know, you could have argued I would have taken out the Torkoal first, but, you know, I don't want Rillaboom pressuring my Tyranitar here. So he goes after you. Another Heat Wave. Gyarados goes down here, so good idea from the Lilligant, but again, Rock Slide just does so much here, and now, again, guess who gets to come back in and resist everything here, of course, and now we can bring out Volcarona, and now this is great because there's no more Sun. He removes T-Char, he gets a nice little crit there. You know, I was dying to that either way, you know, 4 times weak, but again, just Heat Wave, you know, removing everything else because everything was so low. He already clicked Coast Combat, so Volcarona being a good late game cleaner at the end of the day. Okay, so now for this variant, we're gonna, you know, deviate a little bit away from the sand stuff, and we'll just, you know, kind of capitalize on the Kommo Sinistcha a little bit. I think something that Mr. Wolfe Glick did a few months ago was actually pretty solid, and is still interesting even now. So basically, he had the Clefairy over here, right, for a little bit more redirection support, and then at the same time, look, you've got Friend Guard here. So this way you can give your Kommo a little bit of bulk, you know, if it needs to survive a certain attack. Then you have Heal Pulse. Again, like I said, the healing, the redirection with the Follow Me is also good here. And then how about the Incineroar as a nice little filler here this time around in Regulation H. Think back to when Wolfe built his team. He had the Iron Hands and the Landers on his team. So you had Intimidate in one slot, Fake Out on another slot. Well, we can get 2 for 1 here, where we can have both Intimidate and Fake Out on the same Pokemon. Now, granted, the Incineroar cannot exert the same amount of damage that something like an Iron Hands or a Landers can do, but you still have an Intimidate option that you can, you know, lead with the Kommo. You have Fake Out, you know, with the Clangorous Scales. I'm sorry, the Clangorous Soul. I always mess those two up. And then from there, you can pivot out into something like Sinistcha or Clefairy, and then just heal it back. And then from there, you know, just, you know, dominate from there. Right, but he also had the Snorlax there, and Snorlax also is pretty strong this time around again, because again, no more Urshifu, right? So that's cool. And then, you know, another Pokemon, you know, that can set up and do relatively well. Give this the Citrus Berry, and obviously this will be something like maybe Thick Fat here. Good resistance, you know, again, Fire and Ice type moves. So, you know, Belly Drum, setup and then just go ham with all that attack boost. Even if the Incineroar comes in and intimidates this thing, once or twice, your Snorlax is still, it's still +4 and it's still going to do tons of damage at the end of the day, right? So I was thinking about like, because the set was Facade, high horsepower, belly drum, and protect. I was thinking a little bit, can Ursaluna fit here? I think it can a little bit. So that is something that requires a little bit more testing later on. But hey, the Snorlax still works here at the end of the day. Again, the Ursaluna is not a setup Pokemon like the Snorlax. So, Sinistcha, Clefairy, Snorlax, Incin, this is another card that you can also consider. You don't even have to bring Kommo sometimes. Then the last slot here, this was a little tricky. This is a Trick Room sweeper, ideally, base speed 30. So let's get another Trick Room center besides the Sinistcha. I thought Gallade made decent sense here. Again, just another strong fighting type that you can have into, something like Arcaludon, King Gambit, Incineroar for that matter. You don't have the Indeedee for the terrain, but that's okay. It can still do like pretty solid damage overall, especially, with the Clear Amulet, you can't get Intimidate cycled either. So again, just looking at this, you have a special attacker in the Kommo-O, a physical attacker in the Snorlax, and also even the Gallade, and your defensive backbone with Incin and Clefairy. And Sinistcha is also considered a special attacker, but can also be like a support Pokemon at the end of the day, right? So this is something that I was experimenting with, and it's also pretty okay, I would say. Follow Me, Heal Pulse, and then something like Helping Hand, and then Protect over here, and then you have the Eviolite, of course, right? So now, can Clefable work? Yes, I believe it can. Because, and then again, Unaware is pretty solid. You get around stuff like Annihilate, Mousehold stuff. So that's also something to consider. And again, the Annihilate matchup looks a little bit more interesting. But again, with the fact that you have so much offense here, it's still like, okay, like this is where like Gallade, Psycho Cut is coming in handy. You're going to have to force the Annihilate to terrestrialize, unless it just wants to die. Right, so it's all about removing that Mousehold first, but this still works, right? Sacred Sword, Psycho Cut, Wide Guard, Trick Room, of course, is still solid. I think Terra Grass again to just get around Amoongus is all right here. And from here, again, we have all these options. Let's go Grass on the Clefairy again. Get around the Amoongus, Incin, pretty standard set with safety goggles, and then just again Fake Out, Parting Shot, Knock Off, and then Taunt versus Will-O-Wisp. I think they're both okay. Either way is solid. And this one also Terra Grass. Again, you really want to get around the Amoongus stuff. So, we have a bunch of Terra Grass options here, because this is a little bit more Trick Room oriented, I would say. So after that, where do we want to go with EV spreads? Just keep the Clefairy standard here. Let's go Sassy, again, with something like 0 speed here. This is still okay. Let's hit the bump right there. Wait. Yeah, here it is, 110. And then just dump the rest into defense. That's really all we need out of the Clefairy. Incin also, again, I've been calcing to survive Pelipper Weather Ball, and I will still stand by that calc, and that means you need 252, 196. A little bit of speed, just for like potential mirror matchups, and then just dump the rest into defense here. Snorlax, I think Adamant 156 is okay for Snorlax. Again, we're getting so much value out of the belly drum here. Just literally max out your defense here, because again, 65 base defense isn't all that great. Put the rest in HP. Get a nice solid even number here for the Citrus Berry stuff, and this is okay for Snorlax. Gallade here, again, also, go Brave Nature, 0 speed. Again, just max your HP, hit the next bump here in the attacking stat, and then just dump the rest in defense. It's, it's almost like Snorlax, right? Oh, I deleted the Snorlax. Hold on a second. Let's put that right back a second. And what I mean by that is, again, just good special defense, both sides, but a little bit lackluster in the defensive end. So, yeah, it just works out that way. But anyway, this is it. And, again, if you really wanted to recreate something that Wolfe did, you can definitely try something like this as a decent starting point. I'm still thinking about the Gallade slot here, or even just Snorlax overall, but I do think Sinistcha, Clefairy, Incin is a decent starting point if you really wanted to fully commit around the Kommo stuff. But I think Snorlax can do a little bit more than it did in previous formats. So we'll just put that up here just to look at the abilities. Thick, fast. Oh, it's not Steadfast. Hold on a second. There we go. It's Sharpness. Good call there. Good. I always like to check this stuff, right? Sharpness, Thick Fat is good. Intimidate, Friend Guard, yep, Hospitality, and then Overcoat is still good. Again, the powder stuff. You can even change that. You're not on sand anymore, so something like this is still up for debate, but at least it's a decent starting point. Let's take a look at some battles here. Okay, this is one of those Arcaludon Pelipper rain teams with Gholdengo, okay, instead of King Gambit. I like the Gholdengo much better than King Gambit, and sometimes just because, you know, with Instant, now you have 3 fighting weaknesses, right? Sometimes that's a little tricky, especially against a team like this. But I do like Gallade here as a lead if I can catch the Instant, especially the Arcaludon in there. So let's see how he decides to play this. He's gonna go Gholdengo and he's gonna go Instant. I also like Snorlax to an extent here. I don't necessarily need the combo to an extent. So I can pressure the Instant here, but he does have the Gholdengo, which is the problem. I want to protect the Clefairy here. Just go straight, make it rain. My Gallade kind of takes it. And then the Instant does go for flavors. I don't actually live that, so that's a little unfortunate for me. I thought I could take that, but I ended up not taking it. So something to think about later on. But we still have Clefairy here with the Snorlax potential. This Gholdengo has been weakened. Snorlax kind of eats that. All right, Instant goes for knockoff. Clefairy lives. We have good bulk. And then now we can get off the belly drum and then eat our berry. And now we're pretty much maxed out. Now we have a lot of threat here. Sinistcha can come in and heal the Snorlax. It's Make It Rain again. So this is fine. And the Instant obviously can now just parting shot and, you know, get back the Intimidate later on. He's going to Pelipper. I understand it. Again, he's got the Arcaludon in the back. But again, we just high horsepower that. Could have easily high horsepower the Instant and then it would have got whiffed. But he brings back Instant again. He has Fake Out Pressure, of course. I don't want to die to Hurricane, so I'm kind of forced to Terra Fairy this Sinistcha here. So, you know, then he goes Parting Shot again. That's okay into Arcaludon. Now, imagine this. Look, another high horsepower. That still removes the Arcaludon. You know, again, that just shows you with all these boosts that the Snorlax at +3 can still, like, remove your Arcaludon there. Another Intimidate. Now we're just +2. You know, I just want to protect... You know, just keep maximizing my Trick Room turns. I thought he would remove the Clefairy here, aka the Sinistcha, but he just targets the Snorlax. So, but that's fine because look, I can heal myself, just deal some damage into Instant. You know, again, and now I'm topped off again. Knockoff doesn't do anything. I've already eaten my item. I eat the Weather Ball. It's still fine. Now I can remove the Instant. It can't protect. The Pelipper protects. I think that's wrong. I think, you know, I never go for that thing. You always want to go for the Mon that doesn't protect, that's not as threatening, and just overwhelm them with the 3v1. And he has no choice here but to forfeit. So, again, Snorlax looking pretty good here. He brought 2 ground weaknesses, so that was interesting in a sense. They also brought 2 fighting weaknesses too. So Kommo could have also done something there. They have to bring their Pelipper, you know, which is totally fine because, you know, once we click Trick Room, we're in a good spot. Another weather team. This one is a sun team with Charizard and Porygon too. Very strange team. Rillaboom, Gastrodon. All right, he's got a Fire Word Grass Core at least. Then there's a King Gambit. Honestly, I don't think there's just enough offense here. All right, so he's got Zard and there's Gastrodon. Definitely Torkoal in the back. I'm going to go Kommo here and Clefairy. This looks good for me. You know, I can just instantly set up the Kommo. And with the Friend Guard, we don't take that much damage. All right, free Clangorous Soul. You know, we're +2 special attack now and +1 everything else. So this is a good boost. And there's the Muddy Water from Gastrodon. I haven't seen Muddy Water in a hot minute. I think that's wrong. I think you always want Yawn or something there. Even Ice Beam Pressure. We missed the Zard there. So unfortunately, that ends up working for him because of the accuracy drop. And I'm taking more damage because he crit me on the Heat Wave. And he goes for Earth Power there. Removes the Clefairy. But this is still okay because, again, we can bring in Sinistcha. We can heal ourselves. And we still pressure the Zard at the end of the day, right? So I'm going to go into Gallade here. Goes into Torkoal. And again, Wide Guard is going to be good later on. But now we hit our Clanging Scales and Torkoal just gets annihilated after +2 Clanging Souls there. So now he's just down to a Chip Gastrodon and it's Porygon. That's it. It's over, right? You know, we have a super effective fighting move into that. And then Clanging Souls just removes it. So Kommo, again, showing some good dividends. All right, another Sun team. Okay, this one's got Jolteon. Why we have Jolteon here, I couldn't honestly tell you. But he's got Vinukul with Rillaboom, Instant, and there's a Dragonite, no Charizard here. So Sleep Powder shenanigans are a thing, you know, no problem about that. Kommo looks really good here. We resist a lot of what he's got here. The only thing I think we just have to worry about is Dragonite if they do bring it. But overall, this is totally fine. So it's Torkoal, Venusaur. That's okay. I'm going to go Clefairy, and I'm going to go with the Snorlax here just to see if he wants to do anything with Instant or whatnot. I think Kommo looks great here in the end game, but I was afraid of the Dragonite a little bit. But there's Weather Ball, Clefairy lives, and this is an easy setup for our Snorlax. We get to eat our berry, which is nice. Okay, and then here we go. He goes into Instant, so there's another Intimidate cycle, but does that really do anything for him? I'm going to heal back my Snorlax back to full. Flamethrower here, that's also okay. No worries about that. Then we just remove the Instant. Again, another removal with the high horsepower Snorlax. Now comes Rillaboom. That's fine by us. Again, just go back into Kommo here, resist everything, whether it be the grass move or the Torkoal fire move. And we're also kind of chill. Look how much damage that did in the sun. So after this, again, Kommo, it's free to set up here. You know, just pressure the Torkoal a little bit. There's the helping hand, of course. Clangorous Soul comes out. We get grass resistance all around. I know he wants to remove the Snorlax here. But guess what? We have very, very good EVs on this channel, all right? We're not going to lose to that. There's the high horsepower. Goodbye, Torkoal. He's got a Terrifier Venusaur in the back. We don't mind that whatsoever. So at this point, Kommo just kind of beats him. And here we go. Sinistcha yet again. I just want the sun to expire. But even then, Overcoat just doesn't do anything. And we just remove everything he's got with Clanging Scales. Again, Wood Hammer does remove Sinistcha. But at the end of the day, we have everything that we need. Because, again, the sun is gone. And now, again, we just pressure at the back here. Clefairy, you know, just helping hand. And, of course, the Clangorous Soul is just more than enough to take him out here. By Clangorous Soul, I keep meaning Clanging Scales. I'm tired of messing those two up. I gotta learn it eventually, man. Okay, so let's go over the pace one more time. So this is the first team that we built. I think I like this one the most. Again, you've got the Talonflame here that's super aggressive, you know, with the Gholdengo, Primarina, Sinistcha stuff, and then T-Tar here providing the sand. You also have the sand, you know, with Excadrill variants, right? Where either you have the Amoongus or you have the Sinistcha. I think both are pretty solid. And I like Gyarados here. I think this is also a very solid squad if you're like considering it. You know, I don't know which one I like more between the two, but at the very least, I've tested both and they work out just fine here. And again, this one is with the Sinistcha. And then the last one is just a little attempt at a recreation for what Wolfe did, you know, many months ago with Snorlax, Sinistcha, and the Kommo, right? Centered around those three. So give each one a go. And then let us know how you do. Let us know which one you like. But again, more free teams for you to test out for the upcoming regulationH. But hopefully, we've given you some ideas that you can try out with Kommo here. Again, Sinistcha is a nice partner. Sand is also a nice partner with T-Tar stuff. And then you can just go like super aggressive with some of your other options, you know, if you so choose. All right. So again, if you're trying to build a regulationH team, you need some help, sign up for coaching on the channel. Tier 3 sub gets you a one-on-one Discord call with me. If you look in the video description below or in the pinned comment section, you will find the link to join the channel and click the tier 3 sub. That gets you a one-on-one call where we can build the team from scratch, just like what we did here in this video. And then from there, we get to test it out. We get to, you know, go through some matchups. And then, you know, you got your own team that you can just play with for the upcoming regulation format. You know, whether it be locals, ladder, maybe something for Baltimore, we've got you covered. So feel free to sign up. Join the Discord if you haven't joined already. But yeah, you know, that's free. So feel free to do that. But anyway, we'll be back with another video in the next one. Peace out and have a good one.